Everybody, here we are in a high point in Greece. Athens is somewhere over there, I think. This is just gonna be a compilation video of all the Greece stuff I did. So I'm gonna put it all together in one longer form video. In case you guys missed it, if you wanna watch it, you can. If not, just click on off to the next video because I've never done a video more than like 15 minutes. But if you watch it all, wow, congrats. Hope you guys enjoy because I sure did. Travel day for Greece. I have the essentials, of course, which are some rings from my wife to remind me of her as I'm gone. Additionally, we have our weapon of choice here, which is taking for the ride. All of the children. Are you guys gonna miss Dad while I'm gone? I didn't think so.
I'll miss Dad.
Aw, thanks, baby. So there's my lovely wife. She's going to be manning the fort while I'm gone. She's super excited about this whole thing.
Excited.
So jazzed. It's gonna be amazing for me. So how long will we be gone for? Like
10 days?
It's like 10 days, right? I have been away from my family for like maybe a day and a half in my whole life. So this is gonna be completely nuts. I'm gonna just kind of show the progress as I travel airports to airports, then to Athens, and then just all that stuff. So I'll miss you, babe. I love you. See you guys in Greece. Henry struck out. Are you gonna miss Dad while I'm gone?
Okay. I'm flying in the sky, okay.
First airport, getting ready to board. So the journey begins. First flight over and done with. On my way to Munich. Sweet mercy, LAX is huge. I mean, I've been here before, but it's been a while. It's probably like half a mile to get my next gate. So this next flight to Munich is about 11 hours in the air. And what will I be doing? I will be finally replaying the Old Republic and trying to beat the game.
I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you.
Okay, so officially in Munich. And that was a long flight. That was like 11 hours, so it was nuts. Now I am on my way for the last flight to Athens. So, almost there. Craziness. Okay, so last leg of the flight from Munich to Athens is where we're at right now. So I just finished this super duper long flight, which was like 11 hours or so. So I slept a little bit, don't think a lot. And I'm making that final trip right now. Final leg. Oh, it's go to Greece. Almost there. But already ready to go home because I miss my family. Well, everybody, it's probably hard to see right now, but I am officially in Greece. This is the outside of the room. So I'm meeting tomorrow and we're gonna start working on the movie. And I'll go over what I can, but it's not gonna be much. So this is just insane. They got me set up. This is my little hotel apartment place, which is kind of crazy. It's way bigger than I thought it was gonna be. Way more room than I need, that's for sure. We got the living room over here, which is nice, but the crazy thing is it's got the outdoors, which I'll show you, and then it goes downstairs. Once we get down here, we have the master bedroom, which is gonna be lonely because my wife's not gonna be with me, I'll be sad. And we have our master set up in here, but there's even a guest room, and it's like, oh man, this is crazy. I would have taken my kids probably. It'd be hard for my wife to take care of them, but like, I got like a whole nother room in here. It's just like tons of space, which is just for one little person. It's gonna make me feel super sad and lonely as I'm here for like 12 days. Wow. Make sure their sappy old man doesn't get too sad. I have each of the boys send me with one of their colorings, so I have something to remember them by. I'm gonna set those up over here so I see them every morning along with my wife's rings, because when you got a good life, you gotta remember it. Good morning, everyone. It's about 4 o'clock in Greece right now. And for me, it's 4 a.m. and it's 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in California time. So a jet lag, I'll figure it out. Today, I got a few things I'm gonna do, but I want to start off. I just want to go for a nice little walk as soon as the sun comes up, and just show you guys a little bit of Greece. Now, also, as I wake up in the beautiful country of Greece, there's a few things that became very apparent to me right away. And one is that I made the right choice in life. What I mean by that is that, you could try to chase some sort of startup or whatever. I've never really tried that. But the moment I got on a plane yesterday, I started to have a panic attack because it's the longest I've been away from my family. And I woke up this morning and I'm like, I want to go home. Now, obviously I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna have a great time and do the best that I can with the time that I have. But there's no better place than home, and nothing more exciting that I'm looking forward to in all of Greece than simply being around my kiddos and my wife again. It's the best life, guys, the best. Almost 5 in the morning, we got our second cup of coffee here, and we'll go exploring soon. Kind of tape on the fingers, because if you're working with jute twine or anything like that, if you haven't worked with it for a really long time, you're gonna blister a ton and it's gonna be miserable, instantly. So I tend to throw off the left finger. So I'll wrap that up there, put there just like that. So it gives me that extra little bit of protection. Makes it so it's not so bad. So this is just probably more old person stuff, but that's getting started. Coastline now, try to find a suitable spot to start practicing throwing some stones before I meet up with the production crew and everything to start the training officially for the actors. All right, very cool. I found a little entrance area, I think. So let's check it out, see if there's any good sized rocks to start warming up with. This is crazy, guys. This is just me just walking out to the Mediterranean Sea. Absolutely bonkers. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. I am officially in Greece, which is just absolutely crazy to say. Today I'm going to start being busy a little bit later, but I just want to start the morning to warm up down here. I'm thinking I might want to teach a quicker release. Just a quicker 1-2 around, just like that. So the reason I really like that one though is because it tends to be easier to pick up right away. And it's just that quick thing. I think it would work best for cinematic scenes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me know what you want to see here in Greece. I don't know how much free time I'll have. I'll have definitely the weekend off. So if there's sites you want me to do, if there's stories, I'm not going to have my arsenal here, but I would love to share what you guys want to see. Obviously I have things I want to see, but it's all about the time. So just let me know, because this is a one-time opportunity. I'm here now and then I'm not going to be here again. So what do you guys want to see? So here's kind of a fun question. I think a lot of people have asked, how did the ancient slingers train, whether that be the Balearic slingers or the Greeks who picked it up and adopted it as well, or even all across. Well, I know in Greek history, it was well documented that they'd actually set up these circular rings. So on these circular rings, they would set them up on a beach at varying distance, 20 yards, 40 yards, etc., etc. And they would take the rocks, the river rock, and they would practice it at that range over and over and over to kind of get that. So I don't know if they necessarily called it out, but you could say probably 20, 40, something like that, to try to get that repetition in from varying angles, varying distances. And why am I talking about this? Well, in case you missed it, I am in Greece right now. So for example, for me personally, I don't have any rings out here, but I would just pick rocks out in the distance. So I have that rock right in front of me. See, the rocks that I'm finding out here are not really the best for slinging. They've got that odd shape and everything, so I'm just doing the best I can with it to see how I can do. There we go. All right, I found a few nicer rocks, so I'm gonna go for that bigger structure right there, kind of the three piece right there. let's just say you want to smack something with a little bit of speed and power. Also, just as a quick sidebar, I know you guys know I get my stuff from Hilltop Hurler, so that's where I got this sling right here. Unfortunately, the knot just broke, so I actually had to add another knot here because it was too long. So just for the sake of testing it out, I bought this little cheapy sling off of Amazon. It was probably like $12, $15. The moment I got it, I was like, oh man, this is completely different. So, still a split pouch volley type sling, but I'm just gonna give it a shot, see how it works. See how it feels. Wow. Huh. The weight's really different because it's just like super light and I'm used to being a little denser. I think I might need a better projectile. Maybe I'll do a spin. I'll add a few more spins to it as well. Oh, it's alright. I feel like it's gonna break after a few throws. Like it already feels like it's fraying a little bit. Yeah, right there. But you know, it'll do it a pinch. Okay, so I met everyone on set today. Super cool people. Not everyone's here, but I'm on my way now to go to the range to practice with them and teach everyone. So I kind of saw the studio and everything like that. Super cool. You know, kind of like a random bucket list thing I never knew I had. Now we got the slings loaded up and we are basically going to train. So I don't know if I can show any of that footage, unfortunately. If I can, I'll ask and I can show that, but I don't know if it's able to. So I got a car now and I'm driving there, and should be a good time. If I can post it and get it, I will. Okay, so unfortunately I really couldn't film any of what we just did, but all I can say is it's so cool coming from like this perspective of someone who loves movies and everything, to be a part of it. They have this giant warehouse that they've completely gutted and cleared out, and so basically they're putting mats in there and everything for tomorrow to start working on stunt choreography. We spent 3 hours today just doing sling work and picking the best style, going over reloading and everything, and the guys are super solid. Everyone's doing great, learning really fast, and it's gonna look really cool, and it's just crazy to be a part of this, you know, like being there and talking to them. We were filming it in slow motion, showing them where the things were kind of, all right, well, we ship this way, it'll look better this way. And so I'll keep sharing what I can, you know, not much now, but I'll try and talk and see if there's anything else I can get to kind of create a better visual thing to do than just me talking while I'm driving, you know. And work is done for today, but I'm gonna end the day with some sightseeing. I'm not too far from the Temple of Poseidon, so I'm gonna check that out right now, make a little video about it, and share some history and stuff like that. I'm excited. Now that's a pretty awesome little site, just that hillside town. Super cool. Well, here we are at Poseidon's Temple. Poseidon's Temple was built in like 444, 45 BCE. It's obviously honor the god Poseidon. One thing about it is that the Aegean Sea was actually named after King Aegeus in his honor. What actually happened in the story was that Theseus, who was sent off to fight the Minotaur, came back, his ships came back rather, with black sails. And when they did, King Aegeus thought that his son had died. He thought it was a sign of mourning. So in grief, he threw himself off the cliff into the sea. And in doing so, they decided to name the sea after him in that particular spot, i.e. the Aegean Sea. So kind of a sad story, but in line with a lot. So actually there's a 20-foot bronze statue of Poseidon inside the temple as they did their gods at that time. Now, in a practical reason, it was actually built here because of the sea routes. Many of the temple's placement had to do with the god that it was representing. So this temple, Poseidon's, overlooked the major trade routes in and around Greece. So I actually gave up trying to record audio because it was so incredibly windy. But overall, it's just crazy to imagine this thing in its prime with a 20-foot bronze statue of Poseidon in there. Also, another cool story, I think it was in 478 when the Greeks defeated the Persians. They brought some of the ships over to the temple as an offering to Poseidon to kind of celebrate the victory they had. And you can just see how wonderfully it overlooks the sea, and what a great tribute to Poseidon, you know, they would have seen it to be, because it really overlooks all those areas. And that architecture is just so Greek and unique in its way with the pillars. It just looks amazing in person. And so it's one of those things I was very happy to see. I hadn't planned on seeing that in the near future, but having the opportunity to actually look at it up close in person just really helps bring history to life. And it's such a fun, unique thing that I'm happy I get to share with you guys, because it's a privilege. And here's another vantage point of the temple right there. Very cool, but be better with my lovely wife and kids. Love you and miss you very much. Alright, so for this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about sling styles. I did a video about this earlier in the channel, but this one, of course, been Greece, so I'm like, why not do it again in a wonderful place? So I wanted to go over the different ones, also the different types of reloads that you can use for a sling and make that look cool, and also be functional with the sling. But before I begin that, a word from our sponsor, none other than Poseidon himself. Have your ships been running aground? Are you getting incrementally bad weather? Is nothing going right? For your trade? Well, then you need to consider offering to Poseidon at his wonderful temple up on the mountain. You can see from around and pray to the god to make sure all your wares get to where they need to go. Just kidding. The actual sponsor of this video is my amazing wife, who let me go on this crazy adventure across the world while she's taking care of the 3 kiddos. Honey, I love you so much. Thank you. Boys, I love you and miss you. You better listen to your mother. If not, you're gonna hear about when I get home. Now, back to the video. Now, to begin, the first sling style I started out with that I felt was the most comfortable was the standard overhead one, just like this. So when you start with that, you're gonna come up and you wanna have it here, and you just get used to that motion. But before you get ready to release it, you're really gonna start to move and get a lot more activity, because you really wanna bring the whole body behind that throw. So you can be inside here. So like everything with the sling, you really need to trust the sling to do its job. I think that's a problem a lot of people have, is in the beginning, you tend to clam up a little bit and you don't let it go fly wide. Really the power is gonna come from it being far away from the body and stretching out that arm. So you have that full rotational energy to push everything, so you get the most velocity coming off when you use that. Except the one I've adopted is one of the favorites of mine because of the speed of it, and just because I feel like it generates a lot of power. It's just like a 1, 2, 3. So for that one there, you're gonna start here. It's gonna go behind your body, overhead, and you're gonna release it quickly. That one's gonna be here, back behind, over, and then throw. And one thing I like about it is you can really ramp it up by moving your body more and putting more energy into it. So next up we have one that kind of starts underhand, but then it ends up going to an overhand quick release. And so this one I feel like it's kind of taxing on the arm because it's a really dramatic quick motion. But that's going to start low, you're going to start to spin it, and at the last moment you're going to flip it over top and release. And I feel that one feels real natural. It's good for getting a lot of power. It's pretty easy to throw it relatively straight for me as well. So that's a good one. I think it's easiest just to straight learn. It's just an underhand throw. So it's literally underhand, and you're just gonna release it when it's right in front of you. So you can get that with more power. I've never really perfected that particular technique, but it's just kind of releasing it at that right point when it's the lowest, so you're gonna get that velocity. That can be done for the same with an overhand throw also. I'll show that real quick just to have it. So for an overhand throw, you just snap it back. That's really all it is. It's like with the staff sling, they have the same thing. The motion's gonna be similar with that. I'm not real familiar with that one, so it's not really my favorite either. Next, I want to go over reloading with the sling. When you're out just practicing and you have time, you can just kind of set the rock in, set it down, and just cinch it tight, and then you're ready to start bringing it back and moving. For a situation where you need to fire rapidly, there's actually a really cool technique, more common with the Balearic slingers, and it's going to be loading it in a specific way. And anyone who knows anything knows slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So the way that it looks, and I'll show you this angle here, Balearic slings and most slingers had a pouch right in here. What they would do is you actually grab the rock with the hand on the pouch. So you grab it here, that way you can keep your eyes looking forward the whole time. Your hand's gonna come back, set it in, and then you stretch it out just like that. Then you can start your rotation. So you can easily and quickly get those multiple things in without having to look at the stone, set it in the pouch, push it forward, and you're ready to go. And I'll do a couple quick ones like that just to show you how it kind of looks, I guess. You have to use your imagination that I don't have a slinging pouch. But I'm basically just gonna go, I'm gonna do the quick release. So I'm just gonna go 1, 2, 3, release. And then that hand's gonna go in here. Let's say it's my pouch, in, set it, push it out, and you drop it back, 1, 2, 3, and then in, set, back, in, and then you can just get your sling style, whichever one you prefer, and toss that down the range. So what sling style is best? Honestly, it's whatever feels best for you. Personally, for accuracy, I feel like I can get it toned in the most if I'm coming this way. It's just the most natural to me. For quick release, behind, back, and over, and release. And then if you're just starting out and you want to just throw something farther, just get it underneath and you can just start lobbing it out there. Kind of learn when to release, learn when to go. And then it's also just really fun to practice that loading technique. Imagine cinematically, you grab your stone, eyes on target, in, push out. You don't have to look away, and then you're instantly ready to go again. So we just finished up another day of training, and it went really well. The guys are all doing so good. They're such cool people, and I had a really good time working with them and just getting things refined. We're starting to add a little bit more cinematic flair to some of the moves, just to make it a little more appealing to the eye, but still functional in that they're still working. The shot's still going fast. It's still something where it can be accurate, so it's not completely outside the realm of reality. So that's been enjoyable to me. We had a Zoom call today with directors about finalizing some certain items and stuff, so that was fun too, because I got to be a part of that and talk to them about my 2 cents as far as, well, I think this would be this and that'd be that, and they were very receptive to it. It's so funny too, because the producers, they all call me Dash because they all found me first from online. The guys that I'm working with know my real name, but they're just like, oh, sorry, Dash, that's how I know you. I'm like, that's fine, Dash is cool, you know, don't worry about it. Now I'm gonna head to Athens, I think, to check that out. So I'll do some sightseeing there and I'll try and film some stuff. It's probably super crowded, so it won't be like me talking much. And then nextly, I'm just gonna apologize for the volume of videos that I'm putting out, because I am far away from home and I'm complete opposite schedules from my kids and my wife, and I'm definitively homesick. I'm like anxiously homesick. So I think that the only thing that's keeping me sane right now is travel, but also like editing at night the videos, because it's like something to do, because I don't just watch TV all the time. I'm rambling right now, so you guys just have to deal with it, because it's how I'm coping with being away from my family. Okay, so Athens is a bit of a madhouse. Finally got parked in that spot. I'm pretty sure is a parking spot. We're walking through the city. It's taking me where I think I need to go. No idea. Okay, update, I'm back on pavement. So I think I'm headed in the right direction. Almost there. I'm gonna do a voiceover for all this because it's too awkward to talk in front of people. think Poseidon got gypped. Of course, I wouldn't feel right going to Sparta if there wasn't a scene with abs. Cliches, muscle men, no armor, no bronze for me because I have my stomach muscles. Okay, done. Back to being normal. Well, we are here in Sparta, and I can't think of a better way to honor than do a quick workout. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be touring the city of ancient Sparta. But first, a message from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is, oh man, what's their name?
Spartans!
I can't think of the name.
Spartans!
What is their name?
This is Sparta!
That's right, it's Sparta. Do you think reading is for nerds? Do you prize strength and discipline? Do you think working in the fields is for losers?
Now we see the violence inherent in the system. We see the violence inherent in the system.
Do you think that the only armor you need is your rock hard abs? Well then, Frank Miller's 300 may be the movie for you, but it's not the people for you. Spartans had a really rich cultural history. They weren't just brutes. You know, I think that a lot of the problems with the Spartan myth we have now is that overemphasis on they were just one thing. And obviously they excelled in that, and that's where they put their time and power into, but they were a lot more complex than that. So I want to walk around here because it's actually a lot slower and talk about a few different aspects of the Spartan culture, what made them unique, and not just the hyper stigmatized warrior element. So what we have here is one of the ruins of the Basilica, which is one of the churches. Now, the Spartans were extremely pious, and that's one of the reasonings behind why a lot of people feel like they didn't commit their full forces to Thermopylae, is because it was in the time, there's usually 1 month out of the year where they're basically not allowed to do any battles or engagement or warfare. And one of the reasons why they didn't show up in large numbers in other Greco-Persian battles, because they were very adherent to those rules and very superstitious to all of that. Layer of like the warrior mythos society, but also very steeped in like the religious rigidity, which followed over from the discipline also to discipline in the practice their religion. And so an example of this would be the oracles at Delphi. Now, when Herodotus and Plutarch write the histories, it's not really sure when the oracles line up, if it's written post. Prior to the Battle of Thermopylae, one of the oracles said that a king of Sparta must die in order for Sparta to be victorious. And then you had Leonidas go lead the 300 and he perished in that battle. But there's this little bit of disconnect where it's like a lot of the historians don't know if predictions were done prior to the event or retroactively by the historian Herodotus or Plutarch, and they kind of infer that onto it to kind of give them a little more lore and luster. So another really interesting aspect of Spartan society is they had two kings, two rulers, but the rulers and the kings would carry a staff and not a scepter. So if you think of rulers like Agamemnon, earlier he would carry a scepter because he was the one king. But when you had the two kings, they would each carry more of like a staff or a stick to show that seniority, but to show they weren't in an autocratic society. Interesting thing to note about the Spartan city, it wasn't until much later that they actually put up defensive walls. During the peak of their military prowess, it was a sense of pride to them. They didn't actually have walls. The strength of their city came from their men, the discipline of their men. They had that obscene confidence, but they also had a lot of good natural fortifications. You can see behind me all the mountain ranges. It wasn't an easily accessible area to move an army and confront right away. And when their power did start to dwindle later on, they did start to erect some defensive fortifications because they didn't have the same military strength that they did. They didn't have the manpower and they didn't have the ability to defend in the way they did. But it's just a really interesting thing that a lot of people built those big walls as a defense and they were just like, nope, it's gonna be our guys. It wasn't always the right call, probably not. I think a little bit of pride there, but still a very cool piece of history. And one thing that's actually really interesting to note as well is Leonidas, he didn't become king until he was 60. And he was never really mentioned much before that. Honestly, he didn't have like a strong story before as one of the dual kings. The only thing was, I guess apparently there's like a cliff note that he had a half brother or something that killed himself. So they say, but whatever. It's not proven one way or another. His wife was like half that age, and she was actually named like a golem, I think it was. Basically a Medusa creature was the name. And it's funny because apparently like a lot of Spartan women had names like that, where it was like a mythical, like powerful or evil succubus type creature. And it's like the women were strong, you know, it was kind of not uncommon for them to have names in that way. Women were featured a lot more in Spartan culture than most of the other Greek city-states and most of the other history as well. They had a very different position in there, and it was like a little more power, a little more fierceness, I feel like, and the names kind of convey that. But the reason I mention his age is because that means at the Battle of Thermopylae, he was in his 60s, which is crazy because you see the movies with Geralt Butler and he's all ripped and everything. And so, you know, there was that, it's like that idea. And it just kind of shows, and it kind of shows like the rigidity of their planning and how disciplined they were as soldiers to kind of keep that fighting ability up into their 60s. That's quite a feat. I hope I can be there in another, oh my gosh, what is it? 20 years. Oh, closer than I thought. Oh man, I was gonna say 30 years, but nope. Here we have the remains of the ancient amphitheater in Sparta. Now this one here is understood to have been built in 2030 BC, but in the 5th century there was a lot of writings of there being an amphitheater in Sparta. They just don't know if this was in the same location here, because this is a much newer one built in a later Hellenistic period, 2030, something like that. Probably the best preserved one they have here, because kind of going through this area, the size and scope distance between the ruins in Athens and in Sparta. Like when I went up to the Pantheon the other day, I was floored by how large it was. You know? So you can just see the differences in the wealth, I feel, between the two, between Athens and all they had, and Spartans and what they did with a smaller amount of people and resources. Here's something that's actually pretty funny. It's horrible. So ancient Sparta is right up there, right? Like the military ballet of the day, the men's men. And then you walk out and it's like, oh, we got a little playground right here. It's adorable. I just thought the juxtaposition was so severe. I mean, I think it's great. It's adorable, but I just thought it was funny to see that. Got a big old swirly slide and everything. I mean, it's a legit playground. So here we have a statue of Leonidas. You can see that big horsehair crest. Apparently, a lot of times that was used for troop formation, so people knew where the people in front of them were going. So if you would turn to the right or the left, if you had that above your head, so it'd be easier for people in the back to see where the troops were moving to, and it would be easier for the generals to command them, because they would see that they're doing the directions they need to go. So that was actually, it's stylized, yes, but it's also for tracking troops. Well, I wanted to share a little bit more about the Spartan Museum and the armor and the gauges, how they made it. But I just went to the Spartan Museum and there is not a sword or a shield or armor or helmet to be found in there, just a bunch of statues. So, you know, whatever, that's their museum, it's not a big deal, but I wanted to share more about that. So unfortunately, I can't give you much on that because there wasn't anything in the museum to put together. All right, everybody, it's been a busy few days. I'm trying to pack in as much as I can on the weekend, so I don't, you know, think about the family, just stay busy. I went to Sparta yesterday, and today I'm going to Delphi, or Delphi, however you'd like to say it. I'm gonna check that out. There's probably gonna be a lot of people up there. I'd love to film some stuff, but I'm not gonna talk if people are there because I'm awkward about it. So I'll try and film when I can, get some good fun footage and do like a voiceover of it, because there's so much cool history there and so much to talk about. But I'm gonna try to figure out the best way to do it and share it with you guys, because I'm really excited about this trip, more so than any of them, I think. Let's go to Apollo's temple. Now you might be able to see it. There is Apollo's temple right there. We'll head up there in just a minute. But I want to talk about Apollo real quick. So Apollo was the god of the sun, bow, arrow, and music. How he got into music was actually kind of funny. So he had a brother, Hermes. He didn't know he had a brother. Zeus was popping out kids all over the place. He had cows that went missing. These cows were gone. He had someone go out and try to find out who did it. They came to a house with a mom, and she said, I don't know who did it. Wasn't me. Come to find out, she has a son, Hermes. Hermes was just hiding himself, right? Mom said, it wasn't my son. Wasn't me. He killed an animal, wasn't a cow. Wasn't me. And he's like, what animal did he kill? Come to find out it's a turtle. And she's like, well, he did use some cow gut for like the strings. And he's like, aha, gotcha. So they get Hermes, they bring him to Apollo's, and Apollo's basically like, look, man, I'm gonna send you to the underworld with the Titans because of this nonsense. Even if you're brothers, And then Hermes started playing the music. That's like a little bit of a chord type instrument with the turtle shell. And Apollo's like, I love it, I need it. Tell you what, trade that for me. You can be messenger of the gods, and I get the music thing. And then Zeus pops out. Let it be so. And therefore, it was so. As archery is my favorite thing, I think it's only fitting that I visit Apollo's temple last in the trip, because archery is, at the end of the day, the best. Sorry, Sling. I love you, but archery's my jam, my favorite thing. You're close second. All right, we have made it up. I am on my way up to the mountains now to see the temple of Delphi, and all that. So we'll see. So this is the entryway walking up, and I'll put some pictures up of what it would look like in all of its glory and luster. But this was built in the 7th century BCE by Trophimus and Agamedes. It went through a couple different destructions, one in the 6th century by a fire, and then one in 373 by an earthquake. I mean, the first thing that's most insanely striking is the amount of work to get up here in a car versus actually having to come up here to build something continuously. That's quite an undertaking. As you may guess, one of the first buildings is a treasury where donations were given. And so that was the treasury of Cyrene. And then as you continue upwards towards the temple itself, there's a few different structures we'll come across as well. But as with most things, they're going to start with donations at the door. Whew, this is stunning. Here is the temple of Apollo. Now, an interesting thing about the oracles, the head oracle was the Pythia. She was the one that everyone would have to consult with in order to get like the final verdict. And a lot of times when people came up to the oracle, it was done in a way where the questions weren't open-ended. It was more of a yes-no, like should I go to war? Should I do this? Anything like that. According to accounts of the day, on the interior there were 3 of the Delphic maxims written by the 7 sages. So the Oracle of Delphi was the most renowned and the most trusted. Most people went to them for advisors. There are other temples that had oracles. Athena did and Zeus did. But for some reason, I think it's probably the setting and everything. The Oracle at Delphi had the most sway and the most power and was consulted by people even outside of the Greeks. And they were used a lot of times for the Persian Wars, for major instances where things were really dramatic. They would go to them. The theater is the largest structure in the Temple of Apollo, and it's estimated it could fit up to 5,000 people. It was basically split up into 2 zones. It was used many times to host the musical and instrumental competitions of the Pythian Games. Now, there are 2 large, very specific stones in Delphi that have significant meaning. One is the one where Zeus threw it down, and that basically marks the exact center of the earth. The other one was the stone that was consumed by Kronos when he was tricked by Zeus's mother into basically not eating him. So if you know the story, Kronos, when he killed his father, this guy with the scythe, his father said, same thing's gonna happen to you one day when you have children. So like any sane person would do, he starts to consume his children. Now Zeus, the last and youngest born, he was tricked by Zeus's mother and he was given a stone and he consumed that stone. Then Zeus was taken away to Crete where he was raised by immortals. When he was older, he was brought back. And then they poisoned Kronos. When he was poisoned, he threw up everything, all the siblings, and then he also threw up the stone. And that other stone that's here, that other round stone, is the one that was thrown up by him. So you have the first one, which is used by Zeus to mark the exact center of the earth, and then you have the other one, which was the bait that was used to basically hide Zeus from his father. So this is the stone that signifies the exact center of the earth. So what we have down here is an ancient gym, an ancient gymnasia, right around Athena's temple. I did a video about the tetradas not long ago, which is the Greek style of training for fitness. And it's basically 4 tetrads or 4 quadrants is how it's broken up, each one with its own specific function for bettering yourself, understanding the environment. Check that out, check it out. It's a really unique way, I feel, to exercise, and it's very well thought out. And next we have the Temple of Athena, slightly lower level. How did Athena come into being? Well, it's kind of a funny story, as with a lot of things in that time. So it was prophesied that Zeus would have a child with Mithras, and that child would be stronger than him, wiser than him, and would overthrow him. So he was in a pickle. So he called his buddy Prometheus. Now this time him and Prometheus were not on the outs. They were still good. He hadn't given man fire. Everything was going well. So he went to Mithras, who could change shape, and he said, I bet with all of your powers, you can turn to any mighty thing you want. I bet you can't turn into a small little insignificant fly. And she said, hold my beer. And she turned into a little fly. At that point, Zeus consumed her and ate her. And she disappeared for a while. And then there was one day, Zeus got a splitting headache. He couldn't figure out what was going on. He went to Prometheus. He said, you gotta help me out, bro. Prometheus took an axe and split his head open because he still couldn't die. And out of it came Athena in full armor and ready to rock. Next up was the museum, and the first thing on display that caught my eyes was a bronze votive shield. Now, votive just means an offering, so it's basically an offering shield. And then we moved on to the helmets. Now, the thing I thought was really cool about these helmets was how thick you could see that they were. The helmet that I tested was like 18 gauge, and the thickest one is around 14 gauge. And you can see these ones here, though they're bronze, they are very, very thick, probably 12 or 10 gauge helmets. So even though it's bronze and it's not the strongest metal, it would provide a ton of protection. And then of course ending with Heracles. Alright, well, this is going to be a short video. I just want to show some of the more fun, boisterous sling movements we've been working on. That I think will look really cool on the movie. Now, one of the big questions I had is, does all that flashy craziness add extra distance with the rotations of the body, or you can get it just as far throwing it in a normal type way? So I want to try and spec it out with the water here, see if I can see which one looks like it's going further, and if we can get a gauge of that. So I would say it's a little bit further just because you're getting all that extra speed with that spin as you're throwing it. Harder to be accurate, but if I've learned anything today, it's, my gosh, bring bug spray to the beach. Because I got here early near Marathon, and the amount of mosquitoes out here is obscene. I am like, holy crap, I need to go. So this was gonna be a longer video, but I gotta get the frick out of here because those things are brutal. Next up, the wind is super terrible for this one, but what I want to do is I want to just basically take a rock and just smack it against another rock using the flashy style and see how it works in Outlook.